to Hi.
How are you?
How you doing, guys?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
We were, hi, Patton. We were just, as funny as you walked in, we were just talking about,
Real light stuff.
we were just talking about in Las Vegas and how now there's conspiracy theories about it. And I'm just amazed at how some conspiracy theories catch, like, how do they catch on? I don't know how people listen to them and go like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, hang on. What is...
Just lift your mic a little bit. Sorry.
What is the conspiracy theory and has this caught on? What's the newest one? What's going on?
Troy's got it.
They're saying that and tell me if I'm wrong, Troy, that there was multiple shooters, that ISIS is involved, and that
It's speculated that ISIS could be involved.
and this is being covered up, but for unknown reasons why it would be covered up.
But as I was saying before, again, it's like politics. You're either on this side or you're on that side. Nobody can ever say, yes, I believe the official story of this. I believe this is what happened. I believe what's been told is really the way it went down. But I saw this piece of evidence. That's a little weird. I still believe what has been told to me, but look at that. That's a little strange.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying when you
Is that what you're saying right now?
What I'm telling you is I believe the story of what we're told, but there's evidence that there could possibly be a second shooter.
My new Netflix special premieres October 17th. Tune in. It's a lot of laughs.
What's your special called?
It's called Annihilation.
Oh, perfect.
You know, can I just say something about conspiracy theories real quick? And I'm not saying this to insult you or anything, but it just seems to me that it's actually very terrifying to think that random awful things can happen for no reason. And every conspiracy theory, if you notice, they always involve, oh no, there was a huge plan in place. It's multiple people. In other words, it's that they're trying to put the illusion of there are, even if the people are evil, but there are people in control with a plan, rather than, no, some weird nutball went up in a book depository with a cheap rifle and killed the president. No, that can't be it.
It's
No,
safer to think of it.
Exactly. That even if it's evil, there is some control.
It's better than chaos, because then I can see it coming.
I'm
Exactly.
an agent of chaos.
Oh,
And you know what? I just say that a lot.
Isn't that the name of your new tour?
Yeah.
Jim Norton, agent of
And
chaos.
what does chaos pay you percentage-wise? Like, I mean, how much is
A
that?
lot more than poor stupid Jim has to pay his agents. Chaos makes more. Chaos sells tickets.
Chaos is kicking ass right now. But yeah, like, I mean, 9/11, this, you know, the new... people cannot... It's terrifying to think that people aren't in control.
And
Yeah,
you're
I think
right.
so.
And you're right, because we've never been lied to ever about anything. It's just it's crazy to me that just you can't look at something and be like, that's a little weird. Not saying all the craziness is true, but look at something and be like, yeah, that's.
I don't think that's what he was saying though. Like I know why you're saying that, but I feel the same way Patton does about conspiracy. And it's not that like you're being naive and thinking the government doesn't lie. It's just the point of why do people argue parts of conspiracy that seem really irrational to me.
Right.
And I do feel it's a safer and more palatable thing that there's a big agency.
If anything, the government lies after the fact, after they've let chaos slip through, and then they will lie to give you the illusion that there was some kind of order.
Right.
But as far as, I'm sorry, like multiple people keeping quiet about something that I don't buy it. Especially now, especially in 2017, that nothing I just don't buy it.
What's his name couldn't even call the president a fucking moron without everybody finding out about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is like we're finding out stuff nowadays that it used to take. All the principals had to be dead, and then Robert Caro had to research it for another 10 years to get like, oh, yeah, LBJ used to interview people while taking a shit. Like, they kept all that quiet.
Can you imagine it happening now, how fast people would know?
Immediately. Yeah, they would be immediately. Trump was taking a dump, and like people were talking to him.
There'd be a tweet of his log, and they'd be going, he's not a vegan.
Yeah. Then his turd would have a Twitter feed. Trump's turd.
Yeah, it's hard to. Do you ever get exhausted? Because you're a very political guy, and people know where you stand politically. Does it ever get like exhausted? Like sometimes you ever like, I just want to talk about fucking, or I just want to be silly.
Do you ever get tired of defending Trump?
I would.
No, hold on a second.
Look, the guy. You know, it's actually, and I talk about this in my special. Everyone that says, I get so pissed off right now when people say, "You comedians must be so happy having Trump as president." I'm like, okay, for one thing. At best, like when Bush was president, I got 10 minutes of material out of that. And I would have happily traded that away if we weren't torturing people and our money wasn't on fire. So, and with Trump, it's the same thing where at best I'll get 10 minutes out of it in the long run.
Sure.
And Trump is so exhausting. And I do this bit about how writing a Trump joke, it is instantly stale because whatever you've made fun of, an hour later he will do something crazier, and people will even forget what you just. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
well,
can't believe
I
you're still
challenge you
talking
to
about
say
this.
that when you're watching my thing about someday the president's going to go, "You're fired." Oh,
great.
I what a laugh it gets.
Oh, the audience is in 2067. They're going to be in the aisle.
They go crazy for that reference.
But I like making fun of Trump. Doing a Trump joke is like, imagine there was a crazy guy on the sidewalk and he just takes a dump on the sidewalk.
Right.
And you turn to your friends and you have the funniest joke about him taking that dump. And as you turn to tell your friends a joke, behind you, he takes the shit and makes like a sombrero out of it and starts dancing around. And then you tell your dumb joke and they go, "Oh, dude, he just made a sombrero."
Yeah, you're
What do you-
out of touch.
Yeah, look back. And I don't have a joke for this yet.
Why do you think this fascinates me too? Like, you're really liberal, James Wood's really conservative.
Yeah.
What is it about this thing where if somebody is tweeting or coming from a point of view that's not ours, we fucking hate them? Like, when did it become so like split down the middle? Like, people who, because you're a funny comic, and then
Right.
there's people who will hate you because of your opinions, or they'll hate this one because of his conservative opinions. Like, they'll hate Nick DiPaolo, who's brilliant.
Yeah, I think right now people are in such kind of dire straits financially and socially, and there's huge chunks of the population out there that are just living with no hope, and so they will get behind something, a team or whatever city because they're constantly just being insulted and put down. So if there's somebody like a Trump who, even if he's openly not helping them, but if he says things that makes them feel better, they will latch onto that and then get very, very offended when people that were against Trump that were being insulted by him, whoever they latch onto, then they get angry if anyone says anything. So, the country is in a bad place right now, and this is nothing new. If there's a great book by Rick Perlstein called Nixon Land, this same shit was going down in the early '70s, where people would feel like friendships died because of someone voted Nixon and they're like, "I can't talk to you," because people were so frightened. And freaked out.
And people get so and you look at what's happening even now with Hollywood, with Harvey Weinstein, and the way people are like, coming. Oh my God, you knew. It's like all we do is just stand there and point fingers at each other. What do you think it is about? Because he's a powerful dude, man, and do you think it's
was.
No, he's not anymore.
No, he's not. He's
Now
not
is
as
probably the time
powerful.
he'll decide that he likes me. But is it that people are afraid of having their careers ruined, or we speculated that a lot of times people just don't know exactly what's true and don't want to publicly accuse a
Yeah.
guy if they don't know exactly what's true?
I mean, I'm sure it's a combination of all of them. People forget how frightening it can be if you're in the creative arts, and people in power can put pressure on you where they will destroy your career if you stand up or you speak. Look what happened to Rose McGowan. She was 10 years early on this, totally speaking the truth. Totally, now, she's a hero, but she got put through the thresher for this.
They just blocked her on Twitter. They
Twitter
suspended her
suspended
account.
her.
But as someone pointed out, she just got blocked for insulting Ben Affleck. Oh, hang on. Let me head over to Richard Spencer's feed and get the info on the newest Klan rally. Like, it's so...
Actually, I would like that.
It's, it's so insane. Who books that?
I tried to get it. They said I didn't have enough followers. Isn't it weird though? Like, all of a sudden this one's blocked. Because I read the tweets. Like, what did she say? Did she say something libelous? She just said that you're lying because you knew.
Yeah.
And then she went, "Fuck off, Ben Affleck." Like, fuck off. Like, that's the mild insult.
I know. I've written far... If that gets her suspended, I shouldn't be allowed to have a computer for the stuff that I write. So, it also just... Oh, God. What bothers me is when, let's say there's some issue like... I do a lot of work with veterans and veterans' rights and benefits, and trying to get them stuff. And if you speak out on any issue, somebody will also go, "Well, what about the stuff in?" Like, they'll bring up some other. I'm like, I can't comment on everything. Just assume if I'm trying to help this group out, I'm also sympathetic for the other group, but I only have so much signal to noise to spread around. So like I support what you're doing too, but let me just support. You know what I mean?
Like if you're helping animals, they go, "How come you don't like kids?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but and if I tweet or signal boost everything, then none of it gets helped because it's too much. So I try to focus and pick. You know, the Harvey Weinstein thing hit me particularly because I know a lot of actresses that have gone through this shit, not even necessarily with Harvey, but just in the industry that I've seen it over the years. And also people will go, why didn't you say anything fucking 10 years ago? Because I was nobody and I couldn't do it. There was nothing I could do about it. Now that I have a platform and a voice, fuck yeah, I'm going to use it.
And when it's out there and you know that when multiple people are confirming it happened to them, but it is weird when it's just like rumor and like so-and-so. Like I never heard anything about that. You know, that's how out of the show business I am. I literally had no idea Harvey Weinstein was trying to fuck everybody. I had no idea.
I also, and I was saying this before you came in, like I don't think it's about like attacking like the Seth MacFarlanes or whatever the world that were like, well, if you knew 3 years ago, you should have said something 3 years ago. It's about the companies themselves that set up spaces where people could act, because the companies are the ones that could have actually done something about it.
Exactly.
And those are the people that had the power, the CEOs and the people who were in the Harvey Weinstein bracket, some of whom are probably still doing this stuff. That could have said something because Harvey wasn't going to destroy their careers and lives.
Well,
and
you know,
livelihood.
like I was pointing out how it must be. Imagine being. Actually, I can't do this. I can't imagine. I'm not going to insult people by going, "Oh, I can totally." I can't imagine being a woman in 2017 watching Harvey Weinstein go down in flames the way he is right now, deservedly so.
Yeah.
But then flashback to a year earlier, the exact same shit came out about Trump, and he's in the White House. Like, do you know how fucking surreal and terrifying that must feel?
It was a little bit different with
were there women who actually accused Trump of doing things besides like
17 accusers stepped forward and talked about inappropriate gropings, inappropriate barging in while they're dressing and oops, haha, like laughing about it. All that 17. That's amazing how all these MAGA people online are like, where are the accusers? There's literally 17. I can't Google it. It's right there. But what bothers me is when I then point that out, they go, why didn't I never hear you saying anything about Clinton? I'm like, well, no. In the 90s when I was doing stand up, I was ripping into Bill Clinton for what he did to Monica. Like, oh, I never heard of it because I was fucking featuring at Cranberries in West Virginia, and you didn't. So I've always been speaking out, but I didn't have the platform then. So what the fuck?
Right.
And it's
you get the platform, and you're like, hey, I now want to make my point of views clear on everything in my entire life. Now that there are people listening, here's what I say today. Here's what I was saying 5 years. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was in third grade, I thought...
there's probably very little I can do about ex-President Bill Clinton at this point. But right now, there's maybe something we can do. And I'm going to do it when I can. So, but again, that just goes... What we were talking about earlier. People will defend their people.
They pick up sticks for their side of the argument. It's a weird thing we do.
Bill Clinton did, if I remember correctly, get some shit for his behavior.
Yes, he did.
He was impeached.
He got quite a lot of shit. But what they're saying is when they point out, like, you're hip, where was your son? No, I just wasn't famous. You didn't know who the fuck I was.
Right. I'm the opposite. I defend both of them. So, and you're getting, by the way, you're getting married in November. How does it feel?
It feels...
Is it November?
November 4th.
Okay.
It feels amazing. It feels surreal to go from that level of despair to this level of joy. Like I have these worries where what if I'm a glass that you put in the freezer overnight and then you just put hot water and it just explodes? Like it's too much of both extremes. But
it's a lot of emotion for one. Like
it's way too much.
Is it hard to? Because I've never been through either experience. Is it hard to? Now that you're getting married and you feel this joy, is there a part of you in the back, because you know that you didn't leave somebody, is there a part of you in the back that feels like I'm not supposed to be feeling this joy?
I always, that always comes up, and I've talked to other friends of mine who are widowers and also in this grief support group that I'm in, and they're like, just because, there's people that I went out with in high school that I remember the good times with them, and that I remember being in love, but that's not now. So I had 13 amazing years with Michelle. I'll always remember that. I'll always love her. Like I talk to my new fiance Meredith about it when we go on hikes. She goes, "You still miss her, right?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I always will," but she's not here. She's not here. You're here, and you're amazing, and the kind of person that Michelle helped me to become is what helped me meet and become friends and in love with somebody like Meredith.
I mean,
it wouldn't have happened if I'd never met Michelle.
Right.
And what Meredith is doing is like that's crazy strong because to have the kind of I don't know if the word is confidence, but to not be made to feel insecure.
Exactly. Oh no, she is
by all that because, like you said, it didn't end bad. So it's not like you're just remembering the good times and that's what it is. Like it was just good times. Like you would still be in that relationship.
Exactly. And but she again, Meredith is beyond strong. She's like one of those elevated people that you meet. Where like, oh, that's a level of wisdom and humility that I kind of need to get to.
Right.
Like I think that's the next level. So, and she ends up talking me through things that I almost feel like I should be talking her through sometimes. She goes, no, so you got to do this and this. Like, and the fact that she's like, I'm stepping up to not just be a wife, but to be a mom. To this little girl, like, and she's
Your
incredible.
daughter's 12? Is she 12?
She's 8.
Oh,
She's
fuck,
8.
I'm always off.
God damn it, Jim!
Fucking Wikipedia, your
What
guess.
the
Why don't I just ask? Why do I guess? Like even if I guessed 8, it would have been a guess, and he would have went like, "Wow, he knows her age." Who gives a shit? Why don't I just ask?
Uri
What a
Geller,
phony I am.
some fucking mentalist that can.
Yeah, hold on a second. James Lipton here. So you've I should fucking be shot.
She's
James Lipton.
12, yes.
She's 12.
And you know, obviously you go through this horrible grief period. How long after is it where you're like, okay, I have to move forward?
Well, it was, I mean, there were months when it wasn't even that I was in grief, that I was in, I don't even know if I'm alive. That was the scariest part, where there were days when I would get up, I'm like, what if I'm the one who's actually dead? And it was so horrifying to have my body dying that you know, like that thing where you can imagine a whole other life in the last second before your brain dies, but you're actually dying.
Yeah.
There's that theory. And I was like, what if I'm imagining this right now, because I can't deal with the body horror of my organs shutting down. So I've imagined that the next worst scenario, which is losing Michelle and having but all of this is fake.
Right.
And none of this is happening. But it wasn't until she passed away in April of 2016. I don't think I was really able to start functioning until late August of that year. And then I didn't even meet Meredith and I. Here's how Meredith and I met. We have mutual friends on Facebook. We'd never spoken on Facebook. For some reason, we were following each other. I think because we had all these same friends. We're
Sure.
like, yeah, follow, whatever.
Yeah, I know who you are. You know who I am.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But we never spoke. So we got invited to a dinner party together on February 28th. We're mutual friends with that actress, Martha Plimpton. We're friends with her.
Yeah.
So she goes, and she was having random friends over. And at the last minute, I couldn't go because of travel or something. So the next day, Meredith sent me a Facebook message saying, "Oh, you missed some amazing lasagna last night. You really screwed up, And then I wrote back, "Oh, shoot, we'll go out and get lasagna," whatever, like some jokey thing. And then we just started talking every single night on Facebook for hours, like writing short novels, basically, back and forth. Same time tomorrow night. February 28th until May 20th. We did not meet face to face or even speak until May 20th. It was just
3 months.
writing. 3 months.
3 months which does force you in a way to get to know somebody, because you can't just sit there and watch TV. You actually have to communicate.
Exactly.
What are moments too? Stephen King, he wrote a book about something about a woman dying, and he said that the husband freaked out when he looked at the book she had been reading and he realized she'd never read the next page.
Yes.
What are moments that you have that are like, oh my God?
The moments with me for Michelle are, because she was writing a book.
Yes.
She was researching this. So whenever I would see new updates about this cold case, that she had helped get the case reopened, and then some new revelation come out, she's not here to parse this out or to go, okay, we should follow up on this or not. There were also certain. I remember very distinctly when I watched. There's a show called the Night Of. It was an HBO
sure.
crime show with
John Turturro.
John Turturro is amazing.
Who's the lead actor?
He was in Rogue One and
Riz Ahmed.
He was by the way, he
Ahmed.
was in Young Lions too. One of the
Yeah.
Chris Morris comedy. It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's incredible in that show, but it's about police procedural, and it's since Richard Price wrote it, it's very, very true to life. And I remember watching the last episode when the first time ever I saw Your Face is playing, and you realize that Turturro has adopted that cat, even though he's allergic to it, but he wants to save it. And the combination of, oh my God, she would have loved this show, and she would have been able to, because we would sit there and watch true crime stuff, and she'd go, no, that's wrong.
Right.
That's, oh my God, I can't believe they just got that right. You know, we watched Making a Murderer together, and she was like, that cop needs to be fired. That whole interrogation, like.
Did she comment that you look like Stephen Avery?
She might have come up in our sex play a little bit, but whatever. That's, throw that cat in the fire, dude. I remember distinctly talking to her because I was listening to you talk about Making a Murderer, and then I came home and was like, yeah, it was Jim Norton was talking about Making a Murderer. She goes, yeah. He goes, I go, it all boiled down to, because you talked about all the stuff, all the doubts, and then you go, but basically, Steve Avery is a boob. And she just started laughing. So she goes, yeah, he is. He's a goddamn boob. But I just remember I was at the end of the night of, I really started crying because I'm like, I never got to sit and hear her talk about this and hear her experiences. And I was just like, something as minor as like a TV show. Or then like when our daughter got her ears pierced, I took Alice to get her ears pierced, and then when Alice was out of sight, didn't see me, I just started bawling like, oh, she should have been there for that. There's gonna be all these little parenting moments she won't get to do. So
how do you get yourself to not cry in front of your daughter? Like, how do you? Sorry,
I find a million excuses to go. Like, oh, Daddy's got to go take this call, and I'll go somewhere and just and I've learned to do that very quiet. Like, it's almost like the way you sneeze but you hold it in.
Right.
It's like you cry but it is all like you get that push of weeping out of yourself without really but there's been some rough times.
And is that stuff still like popping up now, meaning like as you're now getting married again, like that's going to come up and this is just part of life now?
I had friends who got married like 9 months after their spouse died, and they were like, your body wants to heal itself, and it will find a way to turn the grief into, oh, what an amazing person I got to be with.
Yeah.
And this new person is incredible, and you will just experience joy. It really doesn't, and I don't want to sound callous, it doesn't come up. It certainly doesn't come up for me feeling-wise whenever I'm with Meredith.
Right.
And it certainly doesn't come up when it's me and Meredith and Alice hanging out, because Alice is so happy that I'm just like, I'm just going to run with this.
Yeah.
Because I don't want my daughter to remember these fun years of her dad sitting there brooding and trying to avoid her. I don't want to give that to her.
Sure, and it was and it was something that was on your end unavoidable. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I could have done this or that.
Sure.
You understand, you have finality because you didn't do anything that you shouldn't have done.
And also you start thinking of, as awful as it was, and this is another coping mechanism, and you feel really sick doing this, but it is a coping mechanism where you're like, this could have happened. Like, this happened while Alice was at school. I'd already taken her to school. Alice could have discovered her dead, or Michelle could have been driving her to school and then died. Like, there's a million ways this could have been way worse, and you will do that. And I remember when I was in the grief group going, I can't believe I'm running these scenarios through my head. And they're like, no, you're supposed to.
Yeah, that sounds normal. Like,
Yeah.
So obviously it was you. You had come home, or did you wake up and discover her?
I got up super early. Michelle was, writing on this big deadline, and she had not been getting a lot of sleep. And I was like, you sleep in. And I got up, and I remember very distinctly she was snoring really loud. So I'm like, oh, good, she's asleep. Good, she's catching up on her sleep. Went, got Alice, got her breakfast, got her dressed, backpack, went to school, talked to her teachers, came back. I stopped at Starbucks. I got Michelle a grande Americano. She loved an Americano. Put that on the table by the bed. Went back upstairs. Now it's like 9:30. She's still snoring. Went up to my office. I had calls to make. I had some writing to do. I saw that Prince had died. Commented on that on Twitter for a little bit. At 2:00 that day, Alice had an art show at school that we were going to then attend. So at 12, I don't know why I remember this so specifically, 12:42 p.m. I went down to go, hey, let's, in case you're still I figured she'd be awake already, but we're going to leave at 1:15, and that's when I discovered her.
Let me ask you. You said she was snoring. Was it obviously? Do you think she died of sleep apnea?
I don't. I mean, there was an undiagnosed heart thing, and then she was also taking way more prescription meds than she should have been because she was having trouble sleeping, and
That stuff can feed itself too. By
and
the
it
way.
will slow. That's what when I was talking to the coroner, like, yeah, this stuff can build up in your system and that's what. It's not like you take the one overdose; it builds up over time.
I see.
So I don't know about sleep apnea because she didn't like wake up in the middle of the night a lot, but there was definitely a heart thing that was, and it was a thing that which I found out later. It has a very, very long name, mitochondria. It was a long thing, but it's a thing that you cannot detect unless you were very specifically looking for it with a battery of tests. Like, it doesn't just show up. So it really sucked that there was no way to prevent it. It just sucked.
And I only ask about the apnea because snoring is when your tongue is blocking your air.
Yeah,
That's why you do it.
I mean, don't you wear a CPAP mask?
No, I should. I'm claustrophobic. It's a long story.
Wow.
I think the reason you're
Believe
asking
me.
about the apnea is because you're scared.
Well, that's the only reason anybody asks anything because we're self-centered. And we want to see how it affects us.
Yeah.
I was checking for, but the app. It's hard to do it. But they say there are people that die of it. But anyway, I'm really sorry, man. And I'm happy for you that you're at least you're living and you're you're going to continue living. And you should be happy. Not about that, but you should continue your life happy. You have to.
You have to. I have a daughter. I don't want to. I can't not continue.
Right.
I can't.
That's probably really good.
It is. No, I've said if I didn't have Alice, I would happily be a shut-in alcoholic and just be done with everything.
Right.
And would just would let myself die.
But you don't have the choice.
I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
There's a really dark, funny line in a little movie called The Anniversary Party, with Phoebe Cates is in it. It came out in the early aughts. Alan Cumming and Jennifer Jason Leigh, but Phoebe Cates, who she kind of retired from acting because she's a mom, but she's crying. She goes, "Having children, it just removes suicide as an option." Like, there's something so dark and funny about
That's
that.
great.
Yeah.
Thank God I don't have kids. Wrong message getting guy.